Hey Vince, can you tell us a little about your bike?
Howdy, sure thing. So this is my Honda CRF250L. So it's a little enduro style kind of dirt bike, adventure bike thing. And these Honda 250s, they have a real special place in my heart because my first bike was a CB300R. And it's a really similar engine to this 250. All that Honda did to update the engine was they bored and stroked it to a 286cc, and they call that the 300. They give themselves some pretty generous rounding there. But this is the older 250. This one's a 2019. So come take a look at this. So I own this bike with my girlfriend, and we've made a couple of changes to it to make it suit our mission a little bit more. So first of all, we added this little rear rack here along with our Apache case so we can get all the water, all the snacks, a little bit of tools, whatever we need. And secondly, we upgraded the seat. So the stock Honda seat there was comfy as a plank, so we got this much nicer seat concept on here. And we're the second owners of this bike, and it had a pretty hard life from what we could tell before we owned it. So we had to replace the brakes on it. So instead of just going for a replacement, we went for an upgrade. So we went with a braided steel front brake hose here, and down front we got new pads and rotors, and we replaced all the body plastics as well. It originally came in red and white, but we switched to mostly white with some of these vinyl graphics here. And when we got it, the radiator was all bent up. So we put a new radiator on along with this really nice aluminum guard to help give that radiator a fighting chance. And we've gotten good use out of that guard so far. It's stopped a couple of branches and sticks from poking through and gouging that radiator. And we also got a little coolant temp cap on here just for a little more information. This one has the tachometer. The more recent generations have a gear position indicator, but all we have on this one is the tach, fuel gauge, and speedo. Speaking of that fuel, take a look down here. We've decided to put a bigger fuel tank on it. This is about 3 gallons, and that replaced the stock about 1.9 gallon steel fuel tank, so it gives it a little bit more range. And up front we got improved bars on it with these really heavy duty bar protector loops here. And moving down here, the most substantial change we made was we swapped the front and rear sprockets. So the stock sprockets on it in first gear, you'd get stuck in this odd place between first and second where you wish you had a gear and a half, 1.5. But with the sprockets, we make tons of torque down in first gear, and second gear is spaced just in the right sweet spot when you're going down hills or going a little bit faster to not be too high on the revs, but have enough power that you need. We also upgraded the stock foot pegs here with some nicer cast ones. The stock foot pegs were stamped and welded steel, and they didn't have nearly as much bite as these cast pegs have. And down underneath we added a plastic skid plate, and a lot of people are opting for these now over steel and aluminum ones, since you can actually skid over obstacles now on the plastic as opposed to getting hung up like you would with a metal one. And we have the stock tires on it, but I was planning to put slightly more aggressive tires on the back. You can see this one's wearing down just a little bit, but that's one thing that we've got planned in the future. And on this other side here, we also replaced the rear brake line with much better steel hose with new rotor and caliper and pads there. And we also added these nice Acerbus frame protectors. So these just secure on with 3 zip ties here. And the 250Ls have a bit of a reputation for some pretty delicate frame paint. So these help protect the frame much better from boots that you're going to be wearing off-road to not rub up that paint as much. So overall, it's a really fun bike. It's just a blast to ride. My first off-road bike to get into it was a KLR 650. So this thing's pretty heavy as far as dirt bikes go, but this thing feels just like a feather to me after riding that big KLR. It weighs about half as much. So I always love Honda products, and I think Honda did an excellent job with this bike. It's a really nice, smooth running little engine that, especially how it's geared now, puts out a pretty respectable amount of torque. So I think it's just a blast to ride and run around on. Thanks for watching.
Well, very good. Thank you.
Absolutely.